Fix it.
What the?
Fix it, Steve.
Take it easy.
Fix it, or I quit. How about that? I quit and you never see me again. How about that?
Aaron's writing is so captivating and distinctive. How much did you have to reassess your process as an actress to prepare for your lines, especially in the longer takes?
Well, it was a very different experience for all of us working on a film like this one where there are so many words, because as an actor, you know, you learn your lines and that's just a given. It's a basic thing. Everyone has to do it. You know, you try not to make mistakes on the day. But with dialogue like this, because there is so much of it, the concentration that we all had to have just in that process of really getting the dialogue down was huge. It's 187 pages. And Michael Fassbender is on every single page. And so for him, it was like Hamlet times 2. It was so hard. And yeah, I think we were lucky because we had a lot of rehearsal, so we were able to repeat it over and over again for kind of 9-10 days straight before we actually went on set and had to start filming it. So by the time we got onto the set, in theatre terms, we were on performance 100, as opposed to, like, you know, the opening night where we would all been kind of terrified and making mistakes every 3 minutes. And so quite honestly, I can tell you that when we did get onto the set, we really didn't make that many mistakes. We all knew it so well. You know, because if you make a mistake, you're throwing everybody else as well. So, but it was a very different process. It was completely new for all of us.
You talk about 187 pages. I've got 3 cards here and I'm a bit worried. So in the film, your character is very strong-minded. She's a referee, a confidant. And I was wondering why it's important for young girls like me to see strong female role models like that in film, and if that aspect of Joanna's character is something that drew you to the role.
It is something that drew me to the role, because I think that I like it on film when you see a woman and a man, and the man needs the woman more than she needs him. That's cool. And I did like that. I got a real kick out of that. And spending time with the real Joanna Hoffman, it cemented the fact that that was truly the case. I mean, the things that Steve would ask her to do on his behalf, she was like, oh. She just got kind of, you know, sick of his crazy little ways. He would even have her sometimes write poems for a girlfriend that he might have. I mean, he was pretty outrageous. But I do think it's nice to play strong female roles, because I do feel a responsibility to girls of your generation. I do want girls of your generation to grow up feeling proud of who they are, feeling empowered by strong influences from actresses in films and not necessarily from the pages of magazines. And so, yeah, anything that I can do to be a part of a world that is inspirational to your age group, that makes me feel very happy.
Fix it now, or you can contact me at my new job, working anywhere I want.
Art had a strong influence on Steve Jobs throughout the film, even perhaps more than technology did. And I was wondering how technological innovation has influenced the art of filmmaking.
It's made a huge difference, and I want you to know that you're the first journalist who has asked that question and who has identified the fact that art has a huge influence in Steve's life. So well done, honestly. And I've done it. I'm not just talking about today. I've done like 2 weeks worth of interviews. I think it's played a huge part. I mean, things are very different now. The first film I made when I was 17 years old, which is 23 years ago, there's a lot of digital effects in that film, and they're terrible. You know, I look at them now, I'm like, oh my God, it all looks so clunky and weird. Even Titanic, some of those effects then, which were pioneering of the time, you know, they look a bit clunky now, you know. And so, yes, I mean, we really do live in the most heightened digital age, I think, ever, and technology has played, my goodness me, a huge part in how films are made, for sure. And, you know, film stock looks very different now. You know, the look of the film, Steve Jobs, each act used a different film stock. So we use 16mm film, which is the older film stock that would have been used in the 80s. And we use 35mm for the second act when it's set in 88, just to give that film a slightly more fluid, different look. And then by the time 98 came along, we used the Alexa camera, which is the high def much more digital look of film that is more commonly used today, just to really emphasize those different periods in time and how the world looks very different, certainly in terms of how films tell stories now than they certainly did back in 1984. So yeah, I mean, it's had a huge impact on film and how it's constructed.
So Steve Jobs seems to be an uncompromising character in his life and especially in his work. And I wanted to know, what are you keen never to compromise on in an acting role?
Again, never been asked that question either. I suppose one thing that what would I never compromise on? Well, in many ways, actually, as an actress, you have to be prepared to compromise. You have to be prepared to accept every actor for all their different ways. Actors can be pretty weird, and you sometimes have to sort of adapt yourself around their little sort of oddnesses that they have. So you have to be quite, moldable and prepared to change. But I suppose one thing I would never compromise is how I instinctively wanted to play a part, because at the end of the day, sometimes when the chips are down, all you have is your instincts. And even if you're the one who's made the wrong choice, later on, at least in the moment, I would know that I had the strength of my own convictions to say, no, I want to play it that way. And for me, I just never want to look back and wish I'd done it a different way. So that's one thing I try not to compromise on.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome